Commander Alan Price stood at the viewport of the human diplomatic vessel, watching the swirling colors of Nexus Station against the blackness of space. The massive ring-shaped structure housed the Galactic Council, where 47 different alien species gathered to govern interstellar affairs. After 75 years of membership, humans were still the newest race by far. Most others had been part of the Council for thousands of years. Commander, the Council session begins in 20 minutes. Dr. Olivia Martinez appeared at his side, her dark hair pulled back tightly, datapad in hand. Another day, another disappointment, Price said with a sigh. What are they planning to deny us this time? The Vraxians have submitted a formal objection to our colony application for the Centauri B system. Price turned away from the viewport, his jaw tight. On what grounds? We've met every requirement. The usual. Our aggressive tendencies make us unsuitable for expansion. Martinez rolled her eyes. Never mind that we've shared medical breakthroughs that have saved billions of their lives. Ambassador William Jones joined them, his normally cheerful face looking grim. The tall gray-haired diplomat adjusted his formal blue uniform. I've just received word that High Counselor Zexathul has called for new restrictions on human military vessels, Jones said. They want inspectors on all our ships. That's outrageous. Price slammed his fist against the wall. No other species faces such regulations. Because they fear us, Martinez said softly. We solve in decades what took them centuries. We adapt. Too quickly. We're unpredictable. The three humans made their way through the gleaming corridors of Nexus Station. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some had tentacles, others multiple eyes, and a few floated rather than walked. Many gave the humans cold stares or moved away as they passed. The council chamber was a massive dome with rising tiers of seats facing a central speaking platform. Each species had their designated area. The human section was the smallest, tucked near the back, poorly lit. High Counselor Zexathul, a tall, slender Vraxian with gray skin and 4 arms, called the session to order. His voice boomed through the translation systems. The council recognizes Ambassador Jones of Earth. Jones approached the speaking platform, his footsteps echoing. Esteemed counselors, I come before you to protest the rejection of our colony application for Centauri B. Humans have met every requirement set forth in the Colonial Expansion Treaty. Zexathul's double-lidded eyes blinked slowly. The Council has concerns about human expansion. Your species has shown alarming military growth in recent decades. We've maintained exactly the fleet size permitted under Council law, Jones replied calmly. Unlike some members, we follow the rules to the letter. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Jones continued. Furthermore, I request to know why the Vraxian request to establish a scientific outpost in that same system was approved last month. The council chamber fell silent. That is a separate matter, Zexathul said dismissively. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. With the ambassador's permission, I have relevant information to share. After Jones nodded, Martinez activated her datapad, projecting images above the platform. These are sensor readings from the Centauri B system taken 3 days ago by our scientific vessel. They clearly show Vraxian military ships deploying automated defense platforms. How dare you spy on Council? Operations, Zexathul hissed. Our ship was conducting approved stellar readings, Martinez replied. These images were captured by standard sensors. The Vraxians are militarizing the system they denied to us on military grounds. The Medusan representative Elorix, a being with tentacle-like appendages for hair and deep blue skin, spoke up. These are serious accusations we should investigate. There is nothing to investigate, Zexathul snapped. The human evidence is clearly fabricated. Their technological capabilities are not advanced enough to capture such detailed images from that distance. Commander Price had heard enough. He stepped forward, ignoring protocol. So now our technology is too primitive to gather evidence, but too dangerous to allow us to expand? Which is it, Counselor? The military representative will respect Council procedures. Zexathul's voice echoed through the chamber. We have respected your procedures for 75 years, Price said. What has it gotten us? Our medical advances are used across the galaxy, but we're restricted from new territories. Our engineering innovations power your ships, but we're called primitive. We detect your military buildup, and we're called liars." The council erupted in angry shouts. Jones tried to regain control, but Zex Thul silenced the chamber with a gesture. "This outburst only proves our concerns about human emotional instability," the High Counselor said. "I call for an immediate vote on Resolution 37B regarding oversight of human military forces." "This resolution wasn't on the agenda," Jones protested. "We haven't had time to review it." "Emergency security measures require no prior notice," Zex Thul replied. "Councilors, vote now." The voting happened quickly. Martinez, Jones, and Price watched in disbelief as the illuminated tally appeared. The resolution had passed overwhelmingly. Only 3 species had voted with the humans. Effective immediately, all human military vessels will accept council inspectors and oversight teams, Zex Thul announced. Additionally, the council approves the Vraxian request to establish security platforms near the human border for galactic protection. Jones stepped close to the High Counselor. "This is a violation of our sovereignty." "This is the cost of council membership," Zex Thul replied quietly. "Know your place, human." Back aboard their vessel, the 3 humans sat in silence. Finally, Price spoke. 75 years. We've tried diplomacy, cooperation, sharing our knowledge. Nothing changes." Martinez nodded. "The council has no intention of treating us as equals. They want our innovations without our growth. They fear us," Jones said simply. "And now they're building weapons on our border while demanding to inspect our ships." "What do you suggest, Ambassador?" Price asked. Jones looked out at Nexus Station, his face reflecting both sadness and determination. "I think it's time to show them exactly what they should fear. I'm recommending to Earth that we withdraw from the Galactic Council." "The economic impact would be severe," Martinez warned. "For them or us?" Price asked. Martinez smiled for the first time that day. "You know, I've been running those numbers. We might be surprised who depends more on whom." "Begin preparations for departure," Jones said. "The galaxy is about to learn what happens when humans walk away." Outside their viewport, Nexus Station continued its slow rotation, unaware that everything was about to change. President Laura Stevens sat at the head of the long table in New Geneva's United Earth Government Building. Morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the concerned faces of Earth's leadership. The emergency meeting had been called within hours of receiving Ambassador Jones's encrypted message from Nexus Station. "Let me be clear," Stevens said, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "You're recommending that Earth completely withdraw from the Galactic Council?" Jones nodded from the large view screen. Beside him, Commander Price and Dr. Martinez looked equally determined. "Yes, Madam President. After yesterday's vote, it's clear the Council has no intention of treating humans as equals." Admiral Frank Nelson, head of Earth's combined space forces, leaned forward. The veteran officer's weathered face showed deep lines of concern. The military consequences would be significant. The Council controls most trade routes and jump gates. Secretary George Brown, a thin man with glasses who oversaw Earth's relations with other worlds, shook his head. "The economic fallout would be devastating. We rely on Council trade for many resources." "Do we?" Director Kate Wilson asked quietly. All eyes turned to the intelligence chief. Wilson rarely spoke at these meetings unless she had something important to share. She tapped her tablet, and the wall screen filled with charts and data. "For the past 30 years, my department has been preparing for this possibility. We've collected data on exactly what would happen if Earth left the Council." She stood and walked to the screen. "The Council believes we need them more than they need us. The truth is exactly the opposite." Wilson swiped to a new screen showing trade data. "Council worlds have become dependent on human medicines, engineering solutions, and agricultural techniques. We export far more critical goods than we import." "But the Council controls the jump gate network," Secretary Brown argued. "Without access, our ships can't reach other systems quickly." Admiral Nelson exchanged glances with President Stevens, who gave a small nod. "Actually," Nelson said, "that's not entirely true. The Admiral entered a code into his tablet. A hidden panel in the conference room wall slid open, revealing a secure data terminal. Operation Shadow Fleet, Nelson said as he accessed the terminal. For 50 years, we've maintained a separate development program outside Council oversight. The screen changed to show images of sleek ships, unlike the standard human vessels known to the Council. While showing the Council our permitted fleet, we've been building another, Nelson explained. Ships with advanced weapons, better shields, and most importantly, an independent FTL drive that doesn't rely on jump gates. President Stevens studied the faces around the table. This is why the Vraxians want inspectors on our ships. They suspect we've been hiding our true capabilities. They suspect, but they don't know for certain, Wilson confirmed. We've been very careful. What about our colonies? Asked Secretary Brown. The settlements on Mars, Europa, and Alpha Centauri still need Council protection from pirates and raiders. Nelson smiled grimly. Show them, Kate. Director Wilson brought up a new set of images showing hidden defense platforms and weapon systems throughout human territory. These automated defenses have been disguised as research stations or communication relays. We can activate them at any time. President Stevens stood and walked to the window, looking out at the rebuilt city of New Geneva. After a long moment, she turned back to the table. The Council has restricted our growth, exploited our innovations, and now wants to place military overseers on our ships. I've heard enough. Schedule an emergency address to the Council. 3 hours later, the grand meeting hall was filled with Earth's top officials. At the center stood a special holographic platform, connected directly to the Galactic Council chambers. President Stevens stepped onto the platform, her image instantly appearing at the Council's central podium. On Nexus Station, the sudden appearance of the human president caused a stir. This was unprecedented. Typically, only official ambassadors addressed the Council. High Counselor Zex Thule, Stevens said, her voice echoing through the chambers. I apologize for this unusual appearance, but I come before you with a matter of utmost importance. The Vraxian leader blinked slowly, all four arms moving in a gesture of irritation. The Council recognizes President Stevens of Earth, though we note this breaks with normal protocol. These are not normal times, Stevens replied calmly. I come to inform you that after careful consideration, Earth has made a decision regarding our future with the Galactic Council. The chamber grew quiet. Even the normally chattering delegates fell silent. For 75 years, humanity has strived to be a productive member of this council. We have shared our medical knowledge, our engineering skills, and our unique perspectives. In return, we have faced constant restrictions, dismissals of our concerns, and now military oversight of our sovereign vessels. Stevens paused, her gaze sweeping across the alien faces. Therefore, effective immediately, Earth and all human territories are formally withdrawing from the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted. Some delegates shouted in disbelief, others hurriedly consulted with their advisors. Zexathul raised all four arms for silence, but it took several minutes for order to return. This is absurd, the High Counselor finally said. No species has ever withdrawn from the Council. You have obligations under numerous treaties, all of which contain exit clauses, Stevens responded. Our legal team has prepared the necessary documentation, which has been transmitted to your offices. Counselor Thraxvor, a bulky Zentari with scaly blue skin, let out a barking laugh. This is a childish tantrum. Humans cannot survive in this galaxy without Council protection. You will come crawling back within months. Stevens smiled slightly. That's where you're wrong, Counselor. We don't need your protection. We never did. She nodded to someone off-screen, and various displays around the Council chamber began to change. Status indicators for human ships started blinking as vessels throughout Council space disengaged from docking ports. All human citizens have been instructed to return to human territory immediately. Our ships are departing your stations now. Our diplomats are leaving your worlds. Our merchants are closing their businesses in your markets. The Council watched in stunned silence as the organized withdrawal began. This isn't a negotiating tactic, Stevens continued. This is goodbye. Perhaps someday we can establish new relations as equals, not as subordinates. With that, her hologram vanished, leaving the council in chaos. Back on Earth, Stevens stepped off the platform and faced her advisors. "And now we prepare," she said quietly. "The galaxy is about to discover what humans are truly capable of." Dr. Ryan Clark stood in the control center of Earth's Defense Command, a vast underground complex beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens lined the walls, showing the status of human ships returning from Council space. After decades of secrecy, the time had finally come. "Are we ready?" he asked, looking at the team of technicians around him. General Susan Taylor nodded. The tall military leader had spent her entire career preparing for this day. "All ships report they've cleared the minimum safe distance from Council stations. Then let's show the galaxy what we've been hiding." Clark pressed his palm against the main control panel, activating Project Aegis. Across the solar system, hidden installations hummed to life. On Earth, massive energy shields shimmered into existence high in the atmosphere, barely visible as faint blue ripples against the sky. Similar shields appeared around Mars, the Moon, and every human colony. In space, satellites that had appeared to be simple communication relays or weather stations transformed, panels sliding aside to reveal weapon systems and advanced sensors. "Defense. Grid online," reported Taylor. "All systems functioning at optimal capacity." Clark smiled grimly. Now for the real surprise. He entered a series of commands, disengaging stealth protocols on all outposts. Throughout nearby star systems, dozens of human bases and space stations suddenly appeared on Council sensors. These facilities had been there for years, hidden by advanced cloaking technology that the Council believed was centuries beyond human capabilities. Engineer Doug Peterson approached with a tablet displaying status updates. "The quantum barrier generators are ready, sir. Once activated, no hostile ship will be able to enter human space." "Activate them," Clark ordered. Meanwhile, across Council space, the effects of the human withdrawal were beginning to show. On the Tyranny trading world of Kex Bar, Merchant Lord Kavek stared in disbelief at the empty human trading booths. The market that had once bustled with human goods now stood half empty. "Where will we get the medicine for the Rilnar plague?" demanded a fellow merchant. The humans were the only ones who could produce it efficiently. Kavex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme distress. "It's not just medicine. Their food production techniques, their water purification systems, their energy solutions. We've grown dependent on them without realizing it." He activated his communication device. "Connect me with the Tyranny representative on the Council. They need to understand what's happening." In the Galactic Council chambers, Grand Admiral Fixie of the Council Defense Force presented an urgent report. The yellow-skinned military leader's crest was fully extended, indicating alarm. "High Counselor, we have a serious situation. Human outposts are appearing throughout border regions. They've been there all along, hidden from our sensors." Zexthul slammed one of his 4 hands on the table. "Impossible. Human technology cannot hide from our detection systems." "The evidence suggests otherwise," Fixie replied, displaying sensor readings. "Further, they've established some kind of energy barrier around their territory. Our scout ships cannot penetrate it." "This is unacceptable," Zexthul hissed. "Assemble the fleet. We must show these humans the consequences of defying the Council." Fixie hesitated. "There's more, High Counselor. We're receiving reports from across Council space. Critical systems are failing." "What systems?" "Many of our medical facilities rely on human-designed equipment. Without their technicians and parts, they're beginning to malfunction. Several agricultural worlds are reporting that crop yields are dropping without human chemicals. And the new defense platforms we installed near Earth space, they've gone completely dark." The Council chamber doors burst open as Merchant Lord Kavex rushed in, ignoring protocol. "The economy is collapsing," the Tyranny merchant shouted. "Half. Our trade goods came from humans or depended on human technology." Zexthul rose to his full height. "This is an outrage. The humans have clearly planned this betrayal for years." On Earth, President Stevens received these reports with calm satisfaction. She sat with Admiral Nelson and Director Wilson in the Situation Room, watching the events unfold across the galaxy. "The Council is calling for an emergency session," Wilson reported. They're in complete disarray. And our people? Stevens asked. All human citizens and ships have successfully returned to our space, Admiral Nelson replied. No casualties. The quantum barrier is functioning perfectly. Council ships have tried to approach twice but turned back. What about our special project? Stevens turned to a screen showing Dr. Clark and Engineer Peterson. Peterson grinned. It's time to reveal our biggest secret. He activated a control, and on a distant planet at the edge of human space, a massive installation powered up. This was the true reason humans had been able to withdraw so completely and quickly from Council space. Jump gate systems are ready, Peterson reported. Independent FTL network coming online now. For centuries, the Council had controlled all interstellar travel through their network of jump gates. No race was permitted to develop their own faster-than-light technology. It was a primary means of control. But humans had secretly created an alternative. In the Council chambers, alarms sounded as sensors detected new energy signatures throughout human territory. "What is this?" demanded Zexathul. Grand Admiral Fixie studied the readings, his crest now fully flat against his head in submission. "High Counselor, the humans have built their own jump gate network. They no longer need our gates for travel between their worlds. That's impossible. Such technology requires centuries to develop. Apparently not for humans," Fixie replied quietly. The High Counselor sank into his seat, all four arms limp. "How could we have misjudged them so badly? Counselor." Elorix, the Medusan who had often spoken up for humans, floated forward. "We saw what we wanted to see. We treated them as primitive because it was convenient. We ignored their rapid advancement because it frightened us." "And now?" asked a council member. "Now," Elorix said, "we face a unified human civilization that no longer needs us while we have grown dependent on them. They did not come to the Council as beggars as we assumed. They came as potential partners, and we treated them as servants." Back on Earth, President Stevens addressed her people. Screens worldwide showed her calm, determined face. "Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, today marks a new chapter in our history. For 75 years we tried to work within the Council's system. Now we chart our own course among the stars." She gestured to a display showing the activated human defense grid and jump gate network. "We are secure. We are independent. And when the Council is ready to treat us as equals, we will be ready to talk. Until then, humanity stands on its own." Around the galaxy, alien civilizations watched with growing unease. The humans they had dismissed had just revealed themselves to be far more powerful and prepared than anyone had imagined. And no one knew what they would do next. 6 months had passed since Earth withdrew from the Galactic Council. In that time, the consequences had spread across Council space like ripples in a pond. Medical facilities struggled without human pharmaceuticals. Farming worlds saw crop failures, without human agricultural methods. Ships broke down without human-designed parts. Supreme Counselor Vexthal, who had replaced Zexthul after the crisis began, finally admitted what everyone knew. They needed to talk with the humans. A message was sent through diplomatic channels requesting a meeting. 3 days later, humans responded with coordinates for a neutral location, a newly constructed space station at the edge of human territory. Diplomat Elizabeth Morgan reviewed the final security reports as her ship approached the meeting station. The slender woman with short blonde hair had been appointed Earth's External Relations Director after the withdrawal. "Everything looks good," said Chief John Harris, head of Earth's security forces. The quiet, muscular man rarely spoke unless necessary. "Station is secure. Council delegation is already aboard." "And our little surprises?" Morgan asked. "In place," Harris replied with a slight smile. Scientist Paul Garcia joined them on the bridge. The brilliant medical researcher carried a small metal case. "Are you ready for this?" Morgan asked him. Garcia nodded. "They need what I have in this box more than they're willing to admit." Their ship docked with the station, a gleaming structure of metal and glass that had not existed 6 months ago. Its sudden appearance was yet another demonstration of human capabilities. The Council delegation waited in the main conference room. Supreme Counselor Vexthal stood at the center, flanked by representatives from major council races. The Vraxian leader looked thinner than his predecessor, the stress of recent months evident in his gray skin. "Welcome to Unity Station," Morgan said as she entered with her small team. "We appreciate your willingness to meet." "The Council has always valued diplomacy," Vexthal replied stiffly. Morgan smiled politely. "Then shall we begin? I believe you." "Requested this meeting, Counselor." The delegates took their seats around a large round table. Morgan noticed how the aliens eyed the station's clean, efficient design with barely concealed interest. "The Council recognizes that recent events have caused disruptions," Vexthal began. "We are prepared to discuss terms for human reintegration into Council structures." "Reintegration is not on the table," Morgan said simply. "Earth is not rejoining the Council under the old terms." Vexthal's four hands clenched. "Then why agree to this meeting?" "Because we're open to establishing new relations, as equals." "Equals?" Vexthal made a dismissive gesture. "Humanity is still young compared to most Council races. Your experience in galactic affairs is limited." Morgan exchanged glances with Harris, who nodded slightly. She touched a control on the table, and screens lit up around the room. "Let me share some information with you," she said calmly. "This is a complete list of Council military deployments near what was formerly human space. This is the transcript of a private Council session from 50 years ago, discussing ways to limit human technological growth. And this is the secret agreement between the Vraxians and Zentari to exploit human colonies for resources." The Council delegates looked stunned. "How did you obtain these?" Vexthal demanded. "We've had agents throughout Council space for decades," Morgan replied. "Some were human, some were not. It seems not all Council races agreed with how humans were treated." From the back of the alien delegation, a withered figure moved forward. Elder Nyx of the Aeluri was ancient even by the standards of her long-lived race. Her translucent skin showed the faint outlines of her bones. "I warned the Council 900 years ago," the ancient being said in a raspy voice. "I warned them when the Kelbian civilization was treated this way, and the Morex before them. The Council has a pattern of fearing and controlling younger species rather than embracing them as partners." Vexthal looked uncomfortable. "Elder Nyx, these are internal Council matters." "No longer," Morgan interrupted. "Now they are matters between independent powers." "What exactly do you want?" Vexthal asked. "A new beginning," Morgan said. "Equal trade agreements between human worlds and individual Council species. Open technological exchange, but no more one-sided exploitation. Recognition of human space as sovereign territory." "And if we refuse?" Morgan shrugged. "Then we continue as we are. Human worlds are self-sufficient. Our economy is stable. Our defense grid is impenetrable. The question is not whether we can survive without the Council, but whether the Council can thrive without us." Vexthal conferred quietly with the other delegates. Morgan waited patiently. "These terms would fundamentally alter the structure of galactic relations," the Supreme Counselor said finally. "Yes," Morgan agreed. "They would create a more balanced relationship. Isn't that better for everyone?" Elder Nyx nodded slowly. "The Council has grown stagnant. Perhaps this change is needed." Vexthal looked as if he wanted to object, but instead asked, "And what guarantees do we have that humans won't use their surprising capabilities against Council worlds?" Morgan turned to Scientist Garcia, who stepped forward with his metal case. "Currently, 3 Council worlds are experiencing deadly plagues," Garcia said. "Braxis 9, Teller, and Voon. Your medical teams have been unable to find cures." He opened the case, revealing 3 clear containers with different colored substances. "These are the cures developed in our labs over the past month. We offer them freely as a gesture of goodwill." Vexthal stared at the containers. "Why would you help worlds that aren't even your allies?" "Because that's what humans do," Garcia said simply. "We solve problems. We help others. We create and build and heal. That's what the Council never understood about us. For the first time, Vexthal seemed to truly listen. "We don't want to dominate the galaxy," Morgan added. "We just want to be treated with respect and fairness. Is that so much to ask?" After several hours of discussion, the outlines of a new agreement emerged. The Council would recognize human independence. Trade would resume between willing partners. Technology would be exchanged fairly. The galaxy would enter a new era. As the Council delegation prepared to depart, Elder Nix approached Morgan and Harris. "You never wanted war," the ancient being observed. "No," Harris said, speaking for the first time during the meeting. "We could have struck when the Council was weakest. We didn't. What humans wanted was simple," Morgan added, "to be treated as equals, not as children or threats." Nix's ancient eyes studied them. "And now you have more than equality. You have the respect of races that have traveled the stars for thousands of years. Use it wisely." After the delegates left, Morgan and Harris stood at the station's main viewport watching the stars. "Do you think it will last?" Harris asked. Morgan smiled. "For a while. Eventually they'll test our boundaries again. That's the nature of power. And we'll be ready. We always have been." She turned to look at the station they had built, a symbol of human ingenuity and determination. "But I hope instead we build something better together. That's the true strength of humanity. Not that we can stand alone, but that we can bring others together." From the viewport, they could see Earth ships moving through space, their lights bright against the darkness. The galaxy had shuddered when humans walked away from the Council. Now it would transform as humans showed a new way forward.